season wasn't necessarily a bust, and now this is now going to be the fourth coach you're flipping over. So it's going to be an interesting thing to see what happens with Kevin Stefanski next year. Because good coaches, great coaches kind of can, all right, I know this is going to happen. People are going to come and take guys off my staff. We're going to have to fire guys on the staff. We're going to have to get some changes in here. How does he handle it? How does he manage it? Is he able to get all of these new people, all of these new pieces on the same page, working together towards the same goal? If he can, you probably got yourself a pretty good coach. If he can't, it might be time to go, oh no, well, now we might have to reload. I like Kev, and I think Kevin's going to be able to rebound, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. So we'll get into that a little bit in the 8 o'clock hour. Also, we in this country have a Bill of Rights. I hear people argue about it all the time on social media. But now we are getting a second Bill of Rights for this country. We are going to be rolling out an obesity Bill of Rights. It's as eye-rolly as you think it is. We'll get to that this morning on the program. I'm looking to get to that around 7 o'clock. If I could get this board to work right, this is what you're supposed to be hearing right now.
Here's what's next on the Stansbury Show.
There it goes. Now I know how to do my job. So I saw the other day people arguing that schools should be teaching their kids financial responsibility. A teacher in North Carolina is doing it, and yet I think parents are going to be upset by it. We'll look at this next. I'm Rock 106.9.
They didn't have any disposable.
But nobody is stupid enough to take him seriously. The Stansbury Show.
Right around the corner is Valentine's Day. You think you're out of the holiday season, but you're not. February shows up, it gives you a trap holiday right there in the middle of it. That one can be pricey too, right? Because it's the jewelry store normally. Probably time to pony up and ask her to marry you, maybe. Might have to go that route. I got a $1,000 keyword that can help you with that. 9 a.m. this morning, rock the bank with me. That's your first opportunity of that $1,000. Will continue all damn day. Also at 9, Florida mom no longer allowed to pick up her children from school. We'll talk about that as well. I did see this about school. You hear people say all the time that schools should do a better job of teaching kids about money, finances, credit, and what all of that is like. And I could understand that. I do believe, at least when I was in school, I think they've gotten better about this now. I don't really remember a lot of those kind of teachings, although do I remember most of the things Twinsburg High School taught me? Probably not. I was probably too busy running through the parking lot, trying to jump in cars and leave school versus pay attention. So that's probably on me, not the education system. I bring it up because there's a teacher, I believe this is North Carolina.
Don't forget that
Shelby Latimer.
I'm using for hours.
And she teaches 3rd grade. And she's trying to teach these kids financial literacy early. So she charges those kids to use their desks. And she charges them if they show up late. She posted a TikTok and it like blew up. I mean, she got millions of views. She says, I don't care if you give me the money and it's got sticky boogers on it, you're giving me the $5. She tells her students, I'm going to take your money. It's Bill's Day. And then you can hear the kids in the class like, Now, it's not real money. She is using fake play money to do this. But they have to hand over their play dollars. Now, they earn these dollars throughout the school year doing, odd things around the classroom, maybe washing the blackboard or whatever the thing may be. And Shelby Lattimore says, quote, I teach them responsibility of handling the money that they earn through their class jobs. Every other Friday, each student receives a paycheck from their teacher for their work and errands. Aside from paying the rent on the desk that you use, students are allowed to spend money on frivolous things that in the classroom store, such as an eat-in class pass, homework pass, or this one people I think are going to lose their minds about, being a teacher for the day. That's getting a little too far for me there, where it's like, dude, I love this idea, and I like teaching kids how fast money can go back out of your hand, right, when you get a little too careless with the spending. It took me way too long in life to learn that lesson. It took me a lot of hard lessons to learn that. Some of you are better at it. But let's not just give up the teaching of the classroom. The eating in class, I don't really have a problem with it, but I could see people pushing back on, well, now you're distracting these other kids, and the rule's always been if you didn't bring enough for everybody, don't eat, and that's why there was a way for teachers to deny you that. But now on the first of the month, Shelby Lattimore, the teacher here, proceeds to call each student. She gives them numbers. And if the student isn't paying attention when their bill collector calls on them, that's a $1 late fee. Some students have asked, of course, for some clarification on what they could be fined. And she does list them: being late, breaking things, showing disrespect, and being tardy and being late. Although she also says turning in your work late. So, of course, not everybody in love with it. In one video, one student declares, "I don't have the $5. But then the teacher gets a little bit of a surprise here because he hands her $25 in his bank. He didn't want to pay the bill. But he's like, I have the money, I don't want to pay the bill. He says, if you give me the 10, then what do you get back? She's using that then as a teaching lesson of the money. Because he didn't think it was fair about the money that they were being charged to use the desk and how much they were being charged to be late and all of that. And that's what she's doing here. She's trying to teach kids that the word fair ends once you leave your parents' house. That's it. And I mean leave your parents' house for the day, leave your parents' house to move out, whatever it is. Fair is for mom and dad. That ends in the real world. And I'm all about this. If she was actually taking my kids' allowance off of them, I could maybe have a problem. But kids are going to take play money a little bit more seriously than you, right? Because we know it doesn't really do anything, but they're able to use it as some money to get things that are important to a kid. I love this. I think more teachers need to be creative like this. It's time now for some school lessons to change. Just barking at them from the blackboard about fractions, I don't think is necessarily always paying off. I think you got to do a little bit of that. But getting creative and how you address children, holding their attention, making them invested in what they're doing, I'm all for it, man. She should be Teacher of the Year.
You thought Stansbury was a mess on air? Check out the show's Facebook page at Stansbury Show. Rock 1069.
330-450-7625 to text the studio. I did see this morning. I'm just coming to this. But Darius Rucker, country artist now, but obviously I think most people know Darius through being the front man for Hootie and the Blowfish, which was one of those bands everybody pretended not to like, and the album went like platinum 25 times over. Nobody liked it, yet everybody bought it. They were one of those. And here's what's so funny. In the moment, everybody kind of hates on Hootie. You know why? Because we absolutely do care what other people think about us, and we don't want to admit that we kind of like that, just that cheesy little band there. We don't want to admit it. Our friends are going to make fun of us. Oh, no, what do we do?
Love you.
Right? And then when they announce 20 years later, hey, we're going to do a reunion tour, we're going on the road, all of those people are like, oh my God, going to be so fun, can't wait, Hootie! Right? The same people who were lying about not liking them back in the day now can't wait to go to the shows. They are going to hit the road this summer. But Darius Rucker had a little bit of trouble. Apparently, he had been arrested in Williamson County, Tennessee. This on drug charges. Pulling from WSMV, Rucker now facing charges of simple possession, casual exchange, and violation of registration law. And was released on, $10,000 bond? That sounds like a lot, doesn't it? I literally just watched a couple of people walk out of a courtroom after attacking cops in New York the other day. No bail, no nothing, walking out, flipping off the media cameras, absolutely nothing. You pull over a national treasure like Darius Rucker, he's got a little bit of drugs on him, and it's $11,000 for him to get out of jail. It almost sounds like, well, we know you got the money, so hand it over. I mean, that sounds like a shakedown, doesn't it? Hey, attack a cop, nothing, walk out, you're fine, we'll wave to you. Hey, make sure you flip off TMZ on the way out. Absolutely nothing, crickets. But you pull Darius Rucker over and it's 11 grand? That's a shakedown if I've ever seen one. Hootie and the Blowfish, and again, is set to return to the road this summer. And Darius Rucker, quote, is fully cooperating with authorities related to misdemeanor charges. That according to Rucker's attorney, Mark Perrier. Now, they keep saying drugs here, and they don't tell you what the drugs are. So if you'll allow some speculation, I'm going to guess that this is marijuana. Now, why did I make that guess? Well, if it were anything more salacious, I believe the media, news, would want it to be as salacious as humanly possible because the media is never trying to inform us, right? They're doing it for the clicks, man. And so, like, if you want more clicks, Darius Rucker caught with cocaine, heroin, whatever it could be, would be all over this. Also, where do most people get their news now? Social media. It's still from the media outlets, it's just their social media profiles is where we see a lot of this stuff now. It's not from the television as much as it used to be. And so if it's marijuana, what's going to happen in all of the comments? It's just weed, let them go, just weed, let them go, it's just going to be that over and over and over again. But when it comes now, is this mic cord coming in and out of this mic? I feel like it's cutting out on me a little bit. Sorry about that. But when it's just marijuana, it's not necessarily going to play that way. So I kind of see that as, A, there's a little bit of a shakedown here for Darius because he's got the money. And second, it's like, well, we'll call it drugs because then people are going to run to the far end of the earth to think it's the worst drug imaginable, when in reality, the opposite is true. They would have told you that. Now, again, I said there's a lot of speculation that went into that. And so as more and more details, I'm sure, will come out about this. If I'm wrong, then we'll retract and we'll go back and we'll look at that. And maybe I should be a little patient there. Another country artist not that long ago, Chris Young, I think is his name, had been arrested for assault, they say, of a police officer. There had been, some issues. But then everybody had him as guilty. Guilty, guilty, guilty. And then a day later, some more video came out, and it was like, no, he had actually been shoved. And now he walked in these, that's a whole nother issue. And unless I'm going to tell you the whole thing, I probably shouldn't even be referencing it. But it turned out some video exonerated Chris from some of the charges he was facing. So we'll see here. If we get some more information, that's the point I was making. On Darius, then, we'll go back and look at it another way. But I just kind of saw that, and I thought to myself, okay, I feel like I know what's happening here. This is marijuana, but we need to talk about it, so let's make it sound like it was drugs. Today is one of my least favorite days in the country. And I know I can occasionally be a little bit of a wet blanket and a killjoy on some stuff. But a rodent telling me the weather, I mean, really? Now, I know what you could say, and you might not even be wrong about it. That, well, Stansbury, animal life is more in tune with the universe and the world and what it's going to do, and this is how they have to figure out whether or not how they're going to live over there, you know what I mean? So they're going to know better than you. All right, fair, I guess, I suppose. My iPhone can tell me with pretty close accuracy what the weather's going to be like for the next, 2 weeks. Isn't that really all I need? By the way, I feel like this winter in Ohio has been mild so far. Now, we'll see what we get here with the rest of February and March. I feel like winter has been shifting. When I was a kid on February 1st, we were sled riding. Now, all of a sudden, you could go surfing. I'm sure that has nothing to do with that term everybody gets really upset when you mention. I'm sure it has nothing to do with that. I'm sure winter being just completely different from when I was a kid has got nothing to do with anything. Just kind of randomly happening, I'm sure, right? I'm sure. But like a rodent, really? Like when I see that, and I see everybody making sign. By the way, they go to Gobbler's Knob to look at Jesus, dude. It's like, is this a serious country or not? Sometimes I can't make sense of it. I can't quite figure that out. If I live close, would I go get the hot chocolate and sit there and, do it for the Instagram and try to, increase the engagement? Sure. But when I see this, and I see people taking Puxatawny Phil this seriously, it just makes me lean back in my chair and go, oh, yeah. This is how COVID got so messy.
Like a wake and bake with an easy bake oven. The Stansbury Show on Rock 106.9.
Rock the bank with me at 9 a.m. You're headed into the weekend. An extra $1,000. You can do whatever the hell it is you want. Like go grocery shopping, maybe. We'll pass out that first keyword at 9 a.m. Can I ask you this question? You can let me know your answer by texting in the studio, 330-450-7625. If I said to you right now, this is what the weather will be like for the next 6 months, would you believe me? Would you trust me?
Where's that water came from?
Or would you just laugh at me thinking I'm an idiot who can predict what the weather will be like for the next 6 months?
Sweetheart, I saw your boob.
You would laugh at me. Go, oh my God, there he goes again. Big loudmouth idiot thinks he knows everything. Well, first, he knows everything. And second, you'd be right. And yet you won't trust me with that, even though I can communicate with you.
I must need to buy the...
Why the hell are we looking to Pennsylvania, of all places, for a rodent to tell us what the weather is going to be? I know I can be a little bit of a killjoy on this kind of stuff. I know I can. I know I'm
this is not
supposed to
my
just
car.
let people have their fun,
Someday I'm gonna get my
but it's
own car.
ridiculous. I'll always go back to Puxatawny Phil and Wine with DeWine, and it's like, this is why the country's a mess. Like, literally, this is why it's a mess. Now, Doug's a little unhappy with me. He's like, Stansbury, chill out. It's just tradition, and it's a huge party. My family's actually from there. It generates a boatload of cash for that small town. They get a lot of Penn State and Pitt kids who show up there, and they party like it's their spring break. Okay. If I lived there, would I enjoy the benefit of the economic, boost that Puxatawny Phil's going to give me? Puxatawny Phil there. Y'all going down there to see Puxatawny? I mean, like, Jesus. I mean, it is insane. First, people get really mad every year when I say this, but it's true. That movie sucked. That movie was terrible. I love Bill Murray, but good Lord, was that movie a piece of crap. Just awful. Right? Not good. And I know I'm in the minority. Everybody jumps on me all year over this. I take it all the time over this. I also got asked this question. If Puxatawny Phil sees one thing, and Buckeye Chuck, he sees another, Dwayne and Ashtabula wants to know, what do we do then? Who do we go with? And I can't believe I answered him, but I said, well, I mean, Phil's the OG, right? You go with the OG. You gotta go with the original gangster there. Or OR, right? The original rodent, right? Yeah, we'll go with the original rodent. Now, in a lot of other forms of entertainment, and that's what I'll call this, we don't do that, right? Melly Mel or Eminem. Melly Mel's the OG. Nah, I'm going with M. Right? So, I mean, maybe Buckeye Chuck's your guy. Who knows? If you have a favorite rodent, I think you got a problem. If you love any rodent that doesn't live in a glass box in your kid's bedroom, I'm sorry. I'm kind of out. Look, I'm just kind of out on it. Neil asked me, he texted in 330-450-7625. Stansbury, did that rodent see it? Did he see the shadow there or not? I have not heard. I don't know exactly when they do this. I have less facts about Phil than some other outlets, maybe, because, well, I just think the whole damn thing is ridiculous. Now, again, I said, well, the animal kingdom, right? In tune with Mother Nature. I mean, believes Mother Nature's a thing where you and I will have fights about it, right? And so, like, maybe they understand their environment better than you do, but...
Are you live?
Okay. I mean, yeah. It's still...
Oh, you're...
It's just ridiculous. I mean, it is a little ridiculous. And how many people that are there for that tell people all the time that they're ridiculous for believing in a Sky Daddy? You're believing in your Sky Daddy stories, and then you're going to go there and look at a rodent and tell you whether or not you're getting snow? Shut up about the Sky Daddy. If you're buying into Puxatawny Phil and Buckeye Chuck, let me tell you, dude, maybe you could use a little Genesis.
Kind of funny you can listen to him on your smart speaker. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. The Stansbury Show. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. On Rock 1069.
Welcome back to the program. Where at 8:45, you'll win your way into Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper. That show's got Ministry and Filter on it. August 28th, Blossom. I'll get you hooked up this morning. We've been talking about Puxatawny Phil there. Because apparently today's the day where the rodent comes out and decides whether or not you're going to get more snow, whether or not you're going to get more winter. Here's what I can tell you. It's February the 2nd today. You're going to get more winter. You know how I know? Every damn year before this one. That's how I know. Like, I mean, come on. Also, over the last couple of years, winter's been starting later than it used to. And the temperatures are different, and we have different amounts of snow, and, different this and different that, and just completely different from when you were standing at that bus stop as a kid waiting to go to school than it is now, and I'm willing to bet that's the direct result of absolutely nothing. I mean, dude, you can't even deny it anymore. It's like, well, the whole damn season's just different, but I guess we had nothing to do with that, right? It's a little bit crazy. Tim over the Puxatawny Phil and Buckeye Chuck. He texted this in 330-450-7625, and I would imagine that a lot of you feel this way too. He's like, just shoot them both already. Just be done. Be done with it. And look, if I was there at Gobbler's Knob, where I would for sure go for information. Absolutely. That's like, hey, go to Gobbler's Knob to get, boned up on stuff. All right. Okay. If I live near there, I could probably get into it. You know what I mean? Much like I'm willing to bet there are a lot of football or non-football fans here, right? But every year, here comes the Hall of Fame. It's Canton's thing. It's kind of our thing. Let's get the lawn chairs out. Let's go to the parade. Gammy used to sit here, and this is where we're going to sit, right? I mean, it's tradition. There is that. So I understand how people in the area, that's what should be happening with Pucks. There, I just figured it out. This is what should be happening with Puxatawny Phil. Gobbler's Knob should still be, begging all of us to pay attention to this. No, it's bad. It's little niche. Throw back to the good old days. They should be begging us to care about this. Since we have dual Doppler systems and iPhones and all of this stuff that can tell us what the weather is. They should be the one place on earth where the rest of us are like, look at these idiots. Look at Gobbler's Knob. You shocked their dopes, right? They should be begging for our attention. Not everybody in the world going, all right, all eyes on Phil today. I mean, it's just kind of a crazy thing. Now, what I haven't mentioned yet is kids, right?
I forgot.
And the rodent thing, and it's cute, I guess. I don't know. And if you get your kids into it, although,
there you go.
how do you think they end up eating Tide Pods on TikTok?
I don't have any.
It's by lying to them, telling them a rodent's going to tell them if there's more snow coming, right? I mean, at some point, it's like, yeah, maybe teach them some real stuff as early as humanly possible there, right? It's just kind of crazy to me.
Go into your chat.
I also saw this. I think it's AJ who sent me this at my Twitter, or I guess now X, at Sansbury Show.
Like 5G.
And he says, I kind of feel like the rodent thing's on par with this, and I know you don't like it, but he sent me this tweet that says, Scorpio, Virgos, both would recognize your steps anywhere. I have no idea what that would mean.
It's okay, I think.
I don't know if your steps. I'm a Gemini, I guess. And so I don't know. Am I? Would they recognize my shoe steps and the sound of my steps differently? But yeah, there's a very similar thing there, where it's like if you buy into the rodent, you probably buy into that. I'm not real into it. I, like most men in my life, have had to sit across an Olive Garden table while some dopey broad was talking about it. And I'm just not along because it's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but man, are you hot? You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I'm going to pretend I'm interested in this because, it's been a little while since I got it wet and you're going to have to do tonight, right? So I nodded along with the margarita in my hand or whatever the hell it was. It's like, I can't believe this dude buys into this, but okay, I'm not trying to get married tonight. I'm just trying to have a little fun. So tell me all about it. I'm not religious. I'm like, like all of that. So I've sat across tables and pretended to be interested in stuff like that. Well, she was pretending to be interested in whatever the hell it is I was talking about, and then we had sex, you know what I mean? So, there you can get me. But, buying into the horoscope thing, I don't know. That's pretty desperate to me. I also don't really, I was not intending to talk about this at all. I don't really like the idea that I'm not in control. I've always struggled with the fate thing. Because fate pretty much says that no matter what decision you make, you're going to end up in the same situation. And I don't think that that's true even a little. I have decided not to murder people. I've wanted to do it. I have decided not to do that. Therefore, I'm not in jail for having murdered someone. So, I mean, fate, I don't know, does my fate, even though I'm innocent, mean then I have to go to prison for something? That makes no, that's where I don't know, not that I don't know, I know for sure I don't like that. As a matter of fact, we were given, well, this would be a fate because of what people's belief systems are. But, if you do come from a religious background, that's literally why you were given the choice of free will, to see what decisions you can make. Because what you decide to do is going to affect A, your life, and B, if you believe in religion, and I know a lot of you don't, but a lot of you do, then it will also decide partially what goes on with you in your afterlife. I like the so like it's just fate. You know what I mean? Like the full moon thing, like it's good for the werewolf movies. And I've worked with people. As a matter of fact, a woman I love, a former bartender friend of mine. She's still a bartender, but you know, anyway, a friend of mine who's still bartending. We worked together for a long time. I love her. I absolutely adore her. And we would work together, and it'd be a full moon, and she would just turn to me and be like, "Get ready, the crazies are going to be out tonight." And I remember thinking, like, I love you, but I think the crazies are behind the bar with me right now. Like, I kind of feel like that's what's happening right now. Like, because I just don't see it, you know. And I know what people are going to say, dude, you believe in aliens, but you don't believe in this. It's like, yeah, absolutely. I can look at the galaxy and go, there's intelligent life form up there somewhere. I don't know what the hell it is they're doing, but they're up there somewhere. Communicating with me, traveling back and forth. Okay, all right, maybe. I'll stop short. But whether or not they exist, yeah, I buy into that. But Jupiter being in line with whatever the hell it is, and so now I don't like string cheese because of that. Like I just like it just, to me, that is, we're searching for a way to find purpose in our life, or to explain away things that don't make any sense. Or, let's be honest, some people are using that as a reason to give themselves excuses on why their life didn't turn out the way they wanted it. Like people back in the day when this, and this will make me sound 2,000 years old, but the newspaper, like when they would put the horoscopes in there, like people would read those and then take it as gospel on what their day was going to be like. And I would always ask, who wrote that? Well, I don't know. And you're just believing it? Like, I mean, you're just taking it on the face value? You don't even know who wrote it? It's like, well, I know who wrote it. It was a failed fiction writer who wrote it. It's a guy who couldn't get his novel to get off the damn shelf. That's who wrote that. Hey man, he wrote 4 books, nobody cares. You want to lie to him about special powers coming from the planets? I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of crazy. Like those people, by the way, who think religious people are nuts, it's like, guys, like, I mean, if you put both systems underneath the microscope, neither one of them are holding up to scrutiny. Neither one of them. They are both requiring a little bit of faith there, which I got into this conversation with somebody online yesterday I did not know. They were talking about that a little bit, and I responded and I said, well, that's what faith is. Faith is the belief in something with evidence not seen. And of course, that person writes right back to me and says, your version of faith sounds like a delusion. To which I said, I just gave you the literal definition of the word. That's not delusion. You need to pick up a book. I'm not telling you I believe. I'm telling you what the definition of the word is. And that is the entry point into those things, both astrology and religion. It's faith-based. You need to buy in, grab the ticket. I want to go along for the ride. That's kind of what it is. So either one of those people looking at the other one like they're bonkers, it's like, I think maybe you guys need to get together and talk to each other a little bit. I think there might be more agreeing than you think.
You're never too old for a good morning kiss. The Stansberry Show, Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to Rodent Radio, Rock 106.9. Rocking the bank with you at 9. Pass out that first $1,000 keyword. I'll thank Neil here for sending the text in, 330-450-7625. Punxsutawney Phil has spoken. You're getting an early spring, apparently. The beloved, I'm told, groundhog took his position for the 138th time in Gobbler's Knob this very morning. Aaron's telling me, idiot, adults actually don't think the groundhog can predict the weather. It's just a fun thing that people do. They go out drinking on St. Patrick's Day, but don't believe leprechauns are gold, I'm assuming is what they're supposed to be at the end of the rainbow. Also see the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, etc. Yeah. I think a lot of those things are silly too. I've said that only 10 million times. It's the news stations taking it seriously. This is like when they dress up for Halloween. It's like, idiot, I don't mean you, I mean them. Like a 9/11 could happen right now, and you're dressed up like Raggedy Ann. Like, and you wonder why everybody thinks you're a disaster and a joke? It's because you take things like this seriously. Like, there's a place to screw around, I suppose, fair enough. But, like, come on. And if people didn't take it that seriously, then why is everybody celebrating the fact that they're getting spring early? Happens every time. Every time. Nobody takes it seriously, and yet all the social media feed is, if he tells you you're getting more winter, people bitch and complain about how they're getting more winter. Or if he tells you you're getting more spring, early spring rather, people celebrate it. So they're not taking it seriously, but yet banking on it and posting it all over for everybody to see it as if they're taking it seriously. Are they trolling me? Is that what it is? I'm not even going to call you an idiot like you did me, but you're an idiot. I mean, I don't know what to tell you there. People are taking it seriously. They are. Now, I don't think they're taking it as gospel, but come on. The point is that this, like I said, should be something that Pennsylvania is like desperately trying to get us to still pay attention to. This is like essential oil territory here. And I wish I could remember the comedian's name, because this is one of the funniest bits I've seen in like 10 years. Where he said all we had to do was change the name from Snake to Essential, and people started buying the oil again. He's right. It's a very funny joke. And he's right. These are the same kind of people. That's all. That's all. And I've said, by the way, only 25 times that I know I'm a killjoy about this. I know I'm a little bit of a wet blanket about this. And if I had kids and I lived near the region, okay, let's go see the rodent. But just so you know, guys, Aaron's telling me absolutely nobody takes it seriously. That's why there's an Ohio knockoff of it. People wake up ass early in the morning to go and gather ye round to not take it seriously. Okay. By the way, Easter, a lot of people do take that seriously. But it isn't the Easter bunny, is that right? You know why people take Easter seriously, right? I mean, maybe you don't. But people take that holiday seriously. By the way, people take Christmas seriously, too. As a matter of fact, some people take Christmas so seriously that they actually don't like the representation of Christmas being Santa Claus. And they don't like when people abbreviate the word from Christmas, you know, taking Christ out of it, literally the way we have in everything else, and making it Xmas. That's how seriously people take those things, that they're upset about that. So don't tell me people aren't taking this seriously, and don't tell me people aren't taking those things seriously. They are. Right back in. Let's do this again, Aaron. Give me another one. That one wasn't great. Tee it up again, buddy. Take a mulligan. It's Friday. Screw it. We got time. Dial up the band, man. Let me hear it. They don't take it seriously. Like, yeah, it's a positive little feel-good story. Okay, fair enough. It's a little bit of that. It's a way to screw around. I know. I'm a little bit of a boomer, get off my lawn kind of guy. I am. I absolutely am. What you're seeing is the end result of a guy that never had kids. And so I have a hard time sometimes with, when I'm not with them, those kids, for me to kind of get into that place of, oh, all right, this is for you. Like, I don't believe in Santa, obviously. But when we took that little boy to go see Santa at the mall, that was my favorite day of my whole life. I've never had a better day than that. When that kid turned and looked at me, he's like, I get to go see Santa, Dad. Oh my God. I still think, dude, when I'm having a bad day, I still think about that day to pull me out of the, like, depression of a bad day. One of the best days of my life. So I get that. And if it's all about your kid doing it, but I'm watching 55-year-olds tell me they're getting new spring, you know what I mean? Or sorry, early spring. Not new, doesn't matter with me. Getting an early spring. If it's dominating your social media timeline, it's because people are taking it a little bit seriously. At least somewhat. Come on, we know this. Now, you want me to spin it the other way? Sure. Okay, let's do that. World kind of sucks. It's a terrible place right now. We're living in scary times, man. You can beat up cops and walk out of the courtroom and flip off a camera, no bail, literally flee the state and go to California. That's happening all around you. So do I understand why a human being may want to use a little denial, stick their head in the sand, and think that a rodent's going to tell them they're getting more sunshine? Well, yeah. When the world's this sad, I guess that maybe I could understand that.
To all the teachers who said he'd never amount to anything. That is correct. Lucky guess.
The state's
sure's got Alice Cooper Ministry and Filter on it too. It's a damn good night out at Blossom, man. If you've never seen Ministry, that's a fun band. They're good. They're pretty good live. Now, Al's getting up there in years now, but they're pretty damn good. All right. So the Browns are now going to have some more turnover. We've seen Mary Kay Cabot reporting this. By the way, I noticed this. Anytime Mary... Fake news. Nobody tells you she's lying to you. Nobody asks her to tell you another 4 sources. And you know why that is? Because the quarterback's not standing up at the podium telling you about how unfair she is to him. Absolutely nobody criticizes her the way they used to back in the day. Back in the day, well, I mean when Baker was here. But every time she said anything when Baker was here, she was fake news, she was this, she was that. And I kept saying, why don't the Browns take her press pass from her? Like, why don't they do that? Why don't they ever punish her? It's because Baker is lying to you. He's trying to hide this stuff that she wants to tell you. And I've said about the media, and I don't mean to get all sidetracked here, but I'm gonna. That too much of the media has now coddled the athletes and the coaches. They're supposed to be the checks and balances of those people. And like I see this all the time now. No, the player just said. It's like, well, the player has vested interest to tell you something. They're going to lie. Kevin Durant told you to your face how many times that Draymond wasn't the reason he was leaving Golden State. That being called a bitch by Draymond wasn't why he was leaving. 4 months after he left, he did a pod and admitted, yeah, that thing with Draymond, man, it just got a little too out of hand and I had to go. But the media members who told you that was why were accused of making it up, fake news, all this stuff. Anyway, let's move forward. Mary Kay Cabot letting us know, and this is true, that Bill Callahan, offensive line coach for the Cleveland Browns, is leaving to go join his son's staff, Brian Callahan, who has now taken the job for the Tennessee Titans after they've moved off of Mike Vrabel as their head coach. A lot of people around the league, and I think even me a little bit, shocked Vrabel didn't get a hire this time around. Now, neither did Bill Belichick, and you see people dumping on Bill, see it's over, the league's moved on, all of this stuff, and I think it's just as likely Bill looked at a lot of those jobs that were open and said, well, I could get these jobs. I don't want to go to any of these places. Jerry's going to move off of Mike McCarthy sooner than people think. I'm going to go to Jerry. I think that's what's going to happen. I could be dead wrong. I did think he was going to take the Atlanta job a little bit more seriously than he seemed to. But Bill Callahan, for anybody that does not know, is the offensive line coach for the Cleveland Browns. Now, this is one of those positions in sports. Both offensive linemen outside of like a left tackle, nobody talks about the rest of the line, and nobody ever talks about the coaching. We just think these guys are pros, they get paid a lot of money, you should know what your assignment is, and get to it. But most GMs around the league will tell you that you build from the ball out. Meaning you start with that center and that quarterback, and then you go out to the rest of the line and make sure it's solidified to protect the most important position in all of sports, the quarterback. And that's what the offensive line does. This is a huge loss. Massive loss. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, not that it is an expert opinion, I will grant you, this is bigger than flipping over the other 3 coaches maybe combined. I know offensive coordinator is a big one, but people were starting to kind of feel like maybe Alex Van Pelt wasn't the best option at offensive coordinator, but OC, tight end coach, running backs coach. I think, well, first of all, if you don't get the offensive line right, you ain't running the ball. Now, we have Nick Chubb, who I think could overcome a bad line better than some other running backs. But it's a couple of injuries now, and so at the end of the day, I want that line solidified and playing right and keeping Nick and Deshaun healthy upright. That way, when we get into a playoff game, we have a better chance to win. Although it was really a defensive collapse that happened there in Houston. I think Miles would tell you that. I think Jim Schwartz would tell you that. I think most people would tell you that. It was a little bit of a defensive collapse. They never looked ready to go. I mean, ever. They looked lost in Houston. They just did. Everybody has a bad day occasionally. That defense had a bad day that whole day. I could understand wanting to leave and go work for your son. I can get it. Father-son, it's special territory, man. Coaching in the NFL is already rare air. There's I believe Bill Callahan had been a head coach for the Raiders. Had he not? I think I have that right. I would imagine there is very few days as an NFL coach you are more proud of your son than the day he gets a head coaching job in the NFL. That's going to be a proud moment for any father there, especially a dad who has spent his life dedicated to the sport of football. It seems to be one of those jobs, cops, firefighter, coaching. It's kind of one of those things where it's like you kind of take on dad's business. It's just kind of how it goes. Not everybody, sure, but plenty of people do. And so I'm happy for Bill Callahan. I worry about the rest of that staff. This isn't the first time we've ever seen it, but like, I'd be worried if I was Brian Callahan that I'm going to build resentment over people not thinking I'm going to coach, like I'm going to get on my dad the same way I'm going to get on some of my other coaches. I mean, that's a role reversal like we don't normally see. You spend your entire life being the dictator of what your children do. You're judge, jury, and executioner of your kids. Executioner's probably far, right? And now all of a sudden, you're going into a working situation where you have to show your son an amount of respect. I mean, don't get me wrong, parents respect their children, but this is on another level there. This is going to be, that's a hard thing, I think, for people to do. You know, we were talking alphas, betas, and sigmas there yesterday. A lot of NFL coaches, no matter what the position is, whether it be offensive coordinator, head coach, whatever, can be a little alpha-ish. That's why a lot of times coaching staffs can't get together all that well, can't get along all that well. Think Ditka and Buddy Ryan. They had success, but those guys couldn't stand one another. You know what I mean? Because of how you have to, like, give up so much of yourself to allow the other coach to have their space. I think that could be a tough thing for a lot of dads to do. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But do I understand Bill Callahan wanting to hightail it out of here and go and coach for his kid? Absolutely. I think anybody who thinks this isn't a big deal for the Cleveland Browns, I think you're a little misguided. I'm going to throw out a name here that a lot of people won't know. But go ask Tom Brady how important Dante Scarnecchia was to their run. And he's going to gush for an hour telling you how important Dante was. Dante ran that offensive line, I believe, the entire Brady run, if not the bulk of that Brady run. And every ex-New England Patriot will tell you that dynasty starts and ends with Dante making sure that line protected Tom Brady. They kept him upright. They kept him clean as often as possible, built him a defense, and yeah, that game manager quarterback went out there and got you 6 chips. Most NFL coaches will tell you you build from the ball out. I think this offensive line coach thing could be a huge situation for the Cleveland Browns, and hopefully they get it right. Also now, I think you're going to get to see a lot about Kevin Stefanski. This is 4 coaches flipped over on his staff going into this next year. How does he handle that? Does he get everybody on the same page? Are there bumps in the road? Is it smooth sailing? I think it will tell you a lot about where Kevin is in his journey of being a head coach in the NFL.
It's cool when you get up and you feel instantly connected to the world.
The Stan Sperry Show.
I don't know what it is. I got him on every morning.
On Rock 106.9.
Just over a half hour, I'll pass out that first $1,000 Rock the Bank keyword. Get your little bonus cash headed into your weekend. I've been telling you, man, we got Valentine's Day right around the corner. That one gets pricey, right? Jewelry stores are spendy. Flowers are expensive. We'll help you pay it. 9 a.m. this morning, grab that keyword. I don't think anybody could deny that obesity is a problem for this country. I don't think most of us could deny we're all carrying a few extra pounds than we should be. I know I am, because I have done nothing since Christmas but eat. Got lazy on the workouts, been eating whatever the hell I want, and I feel it sitting here in this chair. It's a problem in this country, man. So much so that according to ScriptsNews.com, they're telling me that healthcare advocates are introducing what they're calling the first ever obesity Bill of Rights. What they're trying to do is change some workplace policies and some state and federal laws too. The Obesity Bill of Rights had been published this last Wednesday by the National Consumers League and National Council on Aging. It also now has the backing of 40 national obesity and chronic disease organizations and several lawmakers too. Quote, "We know many people with obesity feel stuck because they can't get the care they need." That's Dorothea Valdez, I believe, is the senior director for the Center for Healthy Aging and the National Council on Aging. Quote, "We want this Obesity Bill of Rights to show how important it is to treat people with obesity with dignity and respect so they can have the quality of life and age well."